Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the King Leo Show. Are we live here? I don't know if we can hear each other. Let me check. How's everyone doing today? Sorry, putting the phone to charge. Not everyone's here yet. Let's calm down. Good evening, everybody. Our audio's perfect. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to the King Leo Show. We have serious pro wrestling analysis tonight, guys. This is an interesting time, man. I did not see the return of Milo Yiannopoulos for any youngins that don't remember. I remember 2016 like it was yesterday, the last good year, the best year ever. And Milo Yiannopoulos was a great part of that year, great denotationally, not connotationally, right? Whether you love him or hate him, he was a huge figure in that year. And he's back, and with a lot of bad blood with Mr. Fuentes. So my producer and I have put together today a list of possibilities of what's actually going on with this rise of Fuentes, because we're very confused about it. We're trying to figure out exactly what the problem is, or the lack of problem. What's actually going on, as we Bajalardians do. We're not trying to get into the gossip. We're trying to have a pro wrestling analysis. That's what we do on this channel. How's everyone doing tonight, though? Before we get into it, dude, you guys know me by now, right? So I'm a guy who's interested in different cultures and all that, right? And today I got my blood drawn. All right. This is the second time that I have it drawn in this month for blood tests, right? And I have this suspicion. I'm developing this theory that the best blood drawers, flambolangulus, whatever they're called, I've only had white, Hispanic, and black flambolangulus blood drawers. And I think that black people are the best blood drawers. And I'm starting to develop theories as to why it is, because I'm a bit of a Jared Diamond head. You know, I'm a little bit of a geographic determinist. And it's really interesting to think about, because it's usually, I've never really seen a male blood drawer. I've only had ladies do it. And every time that I get a lady who is white or Hispanic, I give them the left arm because I know it's going to be sore the next day. But when I have a black lady, I'm like, thank God, dude, here's my right arm. And it's fine. It doesn't hurt. And I think that the reason why is because I assume if you're a blood drawer, you're probably really good at drawing your own blood. And by virtue of having more melanin, it's going to be harder to see your veins, I assume. I'm not sure. And so you have more ability to spot veins in other people, you know? And I think that in particular, Black American women are probably the best. I've had West Indian blood drawers and they're okay, but I think Black American women probably have to train with, because it's more of a melting pot, right? It's not like Jamaica, where the majority population is highly melanated. So they can really spot the vein faster, and they're very good at it. And they do have a lot of care. It's really amazing. That's my theory. Tell me if I'm off base here. I was sitting there and I was like, you know, Charlie Kirk was worried about black women flying planes. I'm in here at Quest like, please, because you can't. I'm like, please be a black woman drawing my blood, because you can't walk in there and be like, hey, can I have a black lady draw the blood, please? Can you make sure she's a black woman? Because that sounds insane, right? They're gonna be like, what? That doesn't make sense. I'm demanding DEI, but no, you can't do that. So I just have to sit there at Quest like, please, let's let it be a black lady. They're so much better at it than everyone else. And yeah, that's just my theory. I don't know if I'm onto something or if I'm. But you know what? They're really good at it, dude. Like black American women are really good at drawing blood. It's amazing. How are you doing, Audio Vibes? How you doing, Mr. Elu? Jitted Lover, or they were after the same guy. Fleblo Thomas. They are much more caring because they are mistreated by healthcare. That's true. I know that black people actually die more of skin cancer because of misinformation, but also because most doctors don't actually look for skin cancer in black people because they have a bias. They're like, oh, you can't get skin cancer. So maybe that's why. That's a good one. Mr. Elu says, wear blackface and be trans. Excuse me, I need a black woman. No, but it's amazing, their ability. I am very impressed with black woman blood drawers. They're very good at it. Very good at it. If we could make that choice, if you could be like, do you want, I wish DEI had gone that way, because then you could do it everywhere, right? You want, I don't know, a taco at a kitchen. You're like, hey, can we make sure the chef is actually from Oaxaca? You go to the blood drawing place. You go to Quest Labs. Can I please have a Black American woman? They're very good at that. That would have been cool. But instead now we have just chaos and hell, right? So how is everyone? How you doing, Mr. Elu? How you doing, Audio Vibes? Let's get to the show. That's just my schizo theory on why Black women are probably the best blood drawers out there. Let's get through the plugs as usual. Before we begin, like, comment, and subscribe, please. I really appreciate that. It's free. It costs you nothing. It helps the show grow. Show's growing, man. We had a bit of a rut when I had that laptop issue. I wasn't able to update clips, but it's growing. So here are the plugs, as usual. Here we have the Discord where Aria and Audio Vibes are in. We're getting more activity on here. Here is the What Would Piers Morgan Do bracelet, parody bracelet. Covered by Parody Law. Please don't sue me, Piers Morgan. And we have the Patreon where I'm going to start posting. I saw Mr. Schofield joined as a free member. I appreciate that, sir. I don't care if you guys are free members, man. Get in here. I'm going to start posting the videos soon of film analysis. So that's pretty much it. All right, let's get to Schizo Watch and start the actual show. We have a great, interesting stuff to look at. Okay, we're going to start with, I know a lot of people on this channel are not big fans of this man, okay? But I'm asking you to look at him as a wrestling heel, as I always do. When we analyzed his UN speech, and it was so funny. Like, he loves the hate. He is a hate god. He loves hate. And this is one of the funniest things I have seen him put out. Because he's been inactive for a bit, you know? Let's see what his statement is here. And don't tell me that this guy doesn't love the hate. Every time you curse this man and his country, he's just sitting there like Stone Cold Steve Austin, just, yeah, they hate me. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. Let's see what the big man is doing over there. The big boss, as we're going to call him on this channel. What's the big boss doing?
I think Churchill, would have been accused of stupendous war crimes. We don't carpet bomb. We don't do Dresden. We don't do any of that. We send our soldiers, some of whom die, trying to clear out these booby traps that Hamas has put in. So how come Israel is getting bashed so quickly? How come?
That's the question.
So while Konstantin Kisin, while all of these right-wing grifter types in the West are trying to fight dearly for the legacy of Winston Churchill, the big boss in that country over there has decided to join in with the woke to attack the woke and the neo-Nazis to attack Winston Churchill. Does it get better than this? I mean, can this man cook or can he cook? This is a genius, dude. This man will make you go into the pain zone. He will. It's just...
Welcome to the pain zone. It's where we live.
If you really have strong opinions about this conflict, dude, which is fine. As I said, everything's valid. If you think it's a war, it's a war. If you think it's a genocide, it's a genocide. I don't really pay attention to this. You have the worst enemy you could think, because this guy loves it. Mr. Elu says he's like FDR. He welcomes their hatred. Absolutely. This is going to get hate from his own side. They're going to be like, why are you mad at Churchill now? You're making us look bad. We're trying to save Britain so that we can help you guys over there. And he doesn't care. He's like, I love all of the hate. They love the hate. Oh my God. What? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, Mr. Elu says they are unanimous in their hate for me. I feel like he's collecting a glove like in the Avengers movies with all the crystals of different hates. It's like, all right, the Nazis hate me, the lefties hate me, now the neoliberals are gonna hate me, the World War II historians are gonna hate me, and I have all the hate in my hand. And there's power in that. My God, man, what a guy. Let's move on. Look, man, we have to read the tweet to understand why this is so ridiculous. Look, the right wing has really gone ridiculous, man. A vehicle driving through Miami, Florida, with a megaphone yelling 100% in Spanish that she's selling tamales. What other country would allow their own culture to be wiped out and replaced by foreigners who do things like this? So let's watch the video, and I'm going to give you my objections here to this little statement. So look, he's mad at this person because they're earning a living by selling tamales in the very white, the very white Anglo Miami. It's not like, oh wow, it's not like we could go back to, I don't know, the founding of the city to see who was here. Whoa, what happened in 1959? Whoa. All right. What I'm offended by in this video, the only thing that actually offends me, is that the name of this company is the Delicious Cuban Tamale. And the Cuban tamale on the tamale tier is at the bottom. I'm sorry to my Cuban friends. The Cuban tamale is terrible. It's so bad. I don't like it. It's not a good tamale. It's not. Maybe I'm biased. The Venezuelan tamale, we call it ayaca, right? Usually. It's a Christmas thing. Is so much better. The Nicaraguan tamale, I mean, you'll blow your brains out. It's that good. The Mexican tamale, the Cuban tamale, what are the 14 words? We must secure a future for non-Cuban tamales, because this is what I'm offended by. You haven't had a tamale if you've only eaten Cuban tamales. They're not good. Mr. Elu says, what even is a Cuban tamale? A Cuban tamale is this soggy, wrapped in leaf, boring, pork-filled corn pastry that's boiled. Chilean tamales, we don't call them tamales in Chile, but they are so much better. The Cuban one, it's just missing something. It just doesn't have all that flavor I love Cuban food. Cuban food's great, but the Cuban tamale is in the tamale tier, man. Look, S tier, I got to give it to Nicaragua. They're the best. Following that, A tier's got to be Mexico. I'll put Venezuela in there. B tier is Chile. Then at the bottom is the Cuban tamale. But for the wider point, I mean, how does this make you angry? This is really... So if an immigrant is working, a legal immigrant, they're angry. If a legal immigrant isn't working, they're angry. If a legal immigrant is selling food the legit way, because this is obviously a company that has a permit, then there's a problem. But if they don't have a permit, like in California, it's also a problem. I sincerely think at this point that they just hate the Spanish language, which I don't understand because it's a European language, We claim it in Latin America, and Latin Americans are very proud to speak Spanish. You'll find LARPers in America that, the indigenous languages. That's very rare down there if you speak Quechua or something like that. So what's the big deal? I mean, it's a total catch-22 for immigrants right now from Latin America. It's like, don't speak Spanish. I hate that you speak Spanish, especially in a city like Miami. Dude, I remember all of these people, and I still remember it because it's still happening, moved down here during COVID and have displaced the people here. That told me, hey, it seems like your based Anglo-run Aryan Nazi cities are not being well managed. And you rather be in a Cuban managed city that's managed by Mayor Suarez. I'm not a fan of the guy. I didn't make that claim. You voted with your feet. This is ridiculous to me. And the next tweet we're going to see really does more for it. I don't understand what they want. What do you want? You want to have... This really goes to Kevin Williamson, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he had a great theory a few years ago. that the reason for the rise of all of these ethnic problems in the US and racial problems is just because of a lack of economic growth, that no one actually cares when the economy is good. Why are you angry that people in Miami are advertising their business in Spanish? Why would that make you angry? Your culture's being replaced? Dude, Burger King started here. What's more American than that? We have Burger Kings everywhere. The demographics aren't there for you? All right, buddy. Well, who built the city? No one was here before the Cubans showed up. There was a couple Anglos. And what labor did they use? They used Spanish engineers and Cuban labor and Black Bahamian labor. They were always a part of this city. So I just think it's silly, dude. Like, every place in the world has ethnic enclaves. In Venezuela, there's a German enclave. In Finland, there's a Swedish enclave. In France, there's Spanish enclaves. In Spain's French enclaves. What is the big deal? The big deal is that the Cuban tamale cannot replace tamale discourse. That's the big deal to me. We need to globalize the empanada and the non-Cuban tamale. All right, let's catch up with the chat. Mystery Lou says, who doesn't like tamales? Yeah, tamale is a very neutral food. You know, it's a very neutral food. Cubans have good sandwiches and cigars. The sandwiches and the cigars are great. The cigars have taken, as a big cigar smoker, dude, I love smoking cigars. The Cuban cigar market, it's really tough nowadays. You have to buy black market stuff. Otherwise, the government quality has dropped a lot. You need to buy a specific tool in order to unclog them. It was bad a few years ago, like 10 years ago. I started smoking cigars probably when I was like 15 or something. And I worked in a cigar store in college. And when I was working there, it was already bad, but now it's really, really bad. You know, it's the Cuban government's not handling it well. If you want to get good ones, you have to go full Michael Jordan and have a guy over there that steals from the factory and makes it on their own. It's a shame, but you know, maybe they'll improve. And the Chinese have bought up all the good ones, unfortunately. The Chinese have a big taste for Cuban cigars. They don't even smoke them, I found out. They just use them to bribe each other because it's the easiest way to bribe each other. Mr. Elu says, especially with accents like Valentina Gomez. Right. We have our base Valentina Gomez saying deport all the Muslims. That's okay. But starting a business, not sucking money out of the political sphere, is a problem. Audio says, going to Miami and being angry about Spanish is insane. It really is. It really is insane. It's been a meme in this country for 50 years, since 1959. This has been resolved. The last vestige of people angry with the demographics in Miami were Black Americans who were mad that the Cuban Americans had a boycott when Nelson Mandela gave a speech here. And that was in the 80s, I think. After that, it all kind of chilled out. You know, Hialeah is the only city in the United States where it's illegal to put up a statue to Nelson Mandela. It's because he was buddies with Castro, if you're not aware. And Mr. Elu says, globalize the bad empanada. Well, I think it's going that way. Let's see here what Mike Crispy had to say. Let's look at this. This was, to me, another version. As I always say, conservatives love to make up history. All of their history is fake. Let's see. Who is this guy? He's a New Jersey delegate, president of the Italian American Civil Rights League, chairman of America First New Jersey, and a TV host at Real America's Voice. What did he tweet? When Italians came here to America, we didn't complain. Didn't beg for handouts. We didn't rush to apply for Section 8 and food stamps. If we were able-bodied, we worked. Somebody please make the case why it's okay for anyone to do nothing on purpose and then be allowed to vote for a continuation of that. If I can recall, with my limited knowledge of film, there is a famous trilogy of films in this country that deals with Italians. So much, it really talked about the Italian experience in such a dark way that the organization that Mike Crispy is part of, the Italian American Civil Rights League, tried to ban it. I wonder what that trilogy was. Was it? It wasn't the father. It wasn't the mother. Was it the Step Brother? Was it Step Brothers? No, it was The Godfather. It was Oh, and what other movies? What other Italian American movies? Goodfellas, Casino, The Irishman. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Italians were model immigrants. They were model immigrants. Oh, yeah. It's not like an Italian guy in the 90s had to break up the mafia. Rudy Giuliani. Oh, you didn't use Section 8, but your people were out there killing each other in Brooklyn. They had to make a law to stop you. The RICO law. They had to make that to stop Italians from being criminals. Oh, crap, guys. Give me 1 second here. Charger's not plugged in. 1 sec. We're back. Sorry about that. Forgot to plug it in. So yes, Italians, the hardworking Italian, they did some hard work, absolutely. When they were busy shooting and I have nothing against Italians, but this is really rich coming from an Italian. You didn't rush to apply for Section 8 and food stamps. Yeah, because you lived in the tenements. You lived in apartment buildings with no windows that cost 55 cents a day probably back then. That doesn't exist anymore. I'm not saying that it's justified for immigrants to show up and take advantage of welfare systems. But this is really, really rich coming from an Italian. I guess this is the day that Italians finally became white, because now they get to look down on people that are immigrants. Go to Italy today. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We didn't complain. You're a member of the Italian American Defense League. That was a whole complaint. An organization based around a complaint. Didn't beg for handouts. Dude, what are we talking? What is this retcon conservative history? Drives me nuts. How you doing, Robert? How you doing? Let's catch up with the chat. Mystery Lou says, it's like cigarettes in prison. Oh, yeah, the cigars in China. That's what I've been told, that it's a lot like that. Mystery Lou says, did they try to ban The Sopranos? I don't know, because they kind of, they still exist, but I think at this point they just go after, attacks on the Christopher Columbus statues, because it actually did a lot of good for them in Italy and abroad. These Italian movies, because it made them look cool, so I don't really think they're mad about that. Robert says Al Capone. Al Capone. Yeah, Al Capone wasn't on Section 8. Al Capone was on Section Glock 48. He was out there shooting people. St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I mean, this is basic stuff. For an Italian to not know his Italian American history. Italians, a lot of people don't know this. The largest lynching in America was against Italians. It was not against black people. It was in New Orleans. It's a big reason that Tampa was founded. Mr. Elu says Sacco and Vanzetti. Of course. Anarchist Italians who wrongly accused the whole country divided over whether they should be executed or not. And they're saying they don't complain. All right. Lucifer Lucero says, believe in Jesus, rapture soon. All right. I'm not a rapture guy, but do whatever you want. Audio Vibe says the rapture happens September 23rd. All right. Robert says, great. Groiper Grindhouse says Italians are white, higher R1A than even France or Germany. R1A equals Caucasian DNA. Caucasians are split between two haplogroups, Alpine, Northern European, and Mediterranean. Okay. So what? They're of European descent? All right, go tell that to an Italian in the early 20th century in this country and see what they're going to tell you. If they're the same as what do Italians call white people? They have a specific word for it. So yeah, sure, they're of European descent. Does that mean race is also socially constructed, dude? Like Italians have not been white since they arrived. They weren't greeted and they were saying, "Oh, my brother from the Mayflower." That's not how it happened. All right, let's move on. We have here more Democrat cringe. We're getting a lot out of this woman, out of Rosa DeLauro, dude. This is one of the worst offenders. I don't let the Democrats off the hooks for this crap, dude. Let's see what she's doing. Whoa. Whoa. She should straight up just do meth. Like, she should just be on Adderall. Instead of posting this crap, she should just do Adderall. Or meth. I mean, this is a meth head in Congress, man. This is a meth head. It's not even performative. This is just cringe. It's just cringe. Look at all these rings, the hair. You can tell the Democrats hate you and they actually endorse everything that Trump is doing because of this. Because of this. These guys, they don't care. Otherwise, they would try to look more serious, but they don't. Let me move this up here. There we go. Insane that they haven't learned a single thing since 2020. Crazy. Let's continue. We have Randy Fine, another great wrestling heel over here. Let's see what he had to say. Look, I always knew America was going to be the world's police, but I didn't expect it to be like this. Let's see what he had to say on the floor.
This bill directs the State Department to address that growing threat of anti-Semitism, to make clear to our European allies that the conduct that they have allowed to take place within their countries is simply unacceptable. After this assessment, the Assistant Secretary for European and Eurasian Affairs will engage with those countries that are identified as countries of apparent concern and ask for their cooperation in countering this rising anti-Semitism, and it will require those individuals to provide a briefing to both our committee and our Senate counterpart to make sure we are up to date on what these European countries are doing. But make no mistake, and let me say this loudly and clearly, what these European countries have allowed to take place in their countries is unacceptable. And we should be warned that where anti-Semitism rears its ugly head, societal collapse soon comes thereafter. That's what we've seen in 3,000 years of anti-Semitism around the world. So I again want to thank the chairman for bringing this bill up, for making it a priority, for allowing us to say to our friends in Europe that what they have allowed is simply unacceptable and that we in the United States will be watching. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
You can't tell me that he's not doing this to get hate. He loves this. This guy loves it. He loves it. We're going to be the policemen of the world, and we're going to police Europe for we can't say that word, for their proclivities over there. If you take Randy Fine seriously, you're not appreciating a great performance artist. This is so funny. This is so funny. There's no way he's not enjoying every negative comment under this tweet. We saw him on Piers Morgan. This guy loves the hate. He loves the hate. I salute you, sir. I salute you. I love a heel. I love a heel. Let's move on. This was pretty good here. I'm glad to see there's actually been a lot of good liberal humor that's starting to come about. I don't know what happened when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Sincerely rest in peace, as I've said. I feel like I'm the only guy who mourned him. Because liberals got their spunk back. Like, they're funny again, dude. It's actually funny. Let's watch this here. This is pretty funny.
Oh gosh.
I don't know where to go.
Oh, I need my safe place. Cruelty-free soy latte. Yeah, this is so awesome. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh my, dude, if there was ever a takedown of the Black Rifle Coffee, a manly man, Jocko Willink, I love America. I don't care who knows it. Black coffee, please. I eat beans out of a can. I don't care about sepsis. Crap. Dodge Ram buying. Ford F-350 buying. Toyota Land Cruiser buying. Tasteless. Disgusting. Identity buying, gun loving, soy soy conservative, it's this. I love it. I love that liberals have their spunk back, man, because it's about time. And if anyone's mad, I thought we were going to legalize comedy. We were going to legalize comedy, right? Legalize comedy. Well, this is comedy. This is funnier than anything I've seen put out of TPUSA. A lot funnier than anything I've seen come out from the comedians that helped get Trump elected. I'm sorry, I forgot how good conservative humor is. I watched Joe Rogan's last comedy special. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Mr. Elu says Randy Fine is owned by the Twinkie line. And that's Milo and Nick. All right. Let's move on. What do we got here? We got the next president coming, who they're accusing of using illicit substances. I mean, dude, I can't wait. This is going to be a great presidency. You can't tell me you're not going to love American Psycho president. Christian Bale couldn't even do this, man.
Right now,
I feel strange. It's interesting. I've been on a journey like most people, feeling great, feeling stressed, feeling doubtful. The last 2 days, I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe the dust settling after Madison Square Garden. Seeing how that went, kind of a roller coaster. But something's happened the last few days, and I'm telling you, that Des Moines Register poll, I mean, I don't know. I don't expect Iowa necessarily going in the blue column, but it says something to me that is of outsized importance potentially in terms of the outcome of this race. So I'm feeling honestly much better than I was even 24 hours ago. The last few days.
What do you think it's saying?
I think the biggest challenge for if I was Trump, the reason I wouldn't want to be Trump right now.
So they're using this clip to accuse this man, the most handsome governor in America, of being on cocaine. And what? Trump is on diet pills, speed. So what? And we're going to take a schizo break and see what he said here to Aaron Ross Sorkin. Are you telling me this is a man who's not lucid enough to be president? Let's see what he had to say here.
I believe this in my core of my heart. You will not have a free and fair election as we know them today in the United States of America if Speaker Jeffries is not sworn in a year plus from now. I really believe that. Sure, there'll be elections. Competitive authoritarians love elections. Putin, I think, got 87.3%. The runner-up was 4.3%. That's what I mean by competitive authoritarianism. Ask folks in Hungary and Orban what's going on in Turkey. That's the model for Trump. I don't think that. I know that on the basis of a lot of evidence. In fact, I saw, in fact, examples of that the day of our election, just a few weeks ago, where Donald Trump set out BORTAC teams, Border Patrol tactical units to Dodger Stadium to chill free expression, to chill election turnout. He said the day of the election before one vote was cast, he said this was a rigged election, sent out his DOJ with no basis, no business to be there for a state ballot. He sent Greg Bovino and his secret police that seemed to have taken an oath in office to him, not the Constitution of the United States, to our campaign kickoff at the Democracy Center to chill participation in our rally. And he federalized 4,000 National Guard and sent 700 active duty Marines, not overseas, but to the second largest city in America. And they're still, our federalized Guard, still there. Wake up to what is going on in this country. It is code red, and I'm sure a lot of you are fine with it because a lot of people have figured it out. They know the game. State capitalism, crony capitalism, the great grift. A lot of you are doing extraordinarily well.
Great grift.
But one of the things I'm trying to do better is express my concern, highlight that with more conviction and clarity, and also reinforce that we're about to walk into the 250th anniversary of the best of Greek democracy in the Roman Republic. This historic values of our founding fathers in 2026. And it's all on the line. And so I'm standing on that line, and we're trying to push back.
I mean, has anyone else ever
Democracy.
looked more evil ready to be president? Great outfit. The pose is not great. It's a little Justin Trudeau. It's a little Justin Trudeau. You got to work on this, Gavin. This is not going to sell it. But this guy is he's the best. Like, he is the greatest. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with his politics. I've never heard a more dire, the great grift. Look at how he talks. I don't know if you noticed. I finally noticed it on this clip that he speaks with a certain beat, and he moves his hands. He ends his body language on beat. That's a real skill. That's hard to do. I'm not sure if I could do it myself. It's not an easy task to speak on beat. This can be a great wizard. He just needs to work on the pose, man. I don't even know how that's comfortable for a dude. I don't know how he does that. I've always been perplexed with that. A lot of people say that liberals do that. I'm sure that's true, but where do you even get that from? How do you do that? That hurts. Maybe it's like really small thighs or something. I'm not sure. Let's catch up with the chat. Mr. Elu says he's a white rapper like Eminem. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Dude, that is so hard to do. That's trained. That's not easy to do. This is the man who deserves to run America. He deserves to run it. He deserves it. It's his birthright. This was promised to him 3,000 years ago. Let's catch up with the chat. Mr. Elu says, isn't this before the election? Yeah, that video, they're bringing it up again to say, oh, he does coke. All right, so what? They all do coke. Schofield says, that man's giving an interview after an all-nighter at the club. Respect. Absolutely. You want a president who can go on a binger. He can go and have himself a good time and the next day be a complete sociopath. That's what you want. How you doing, full hat? No communists over here, sir. Goldberg Grindhouse says he looks gay as hell sitting like that. It's not a great pose. I will say it's not a great pose. Schofield says a beautiful man. A beautiful man. Beautiful man. Should have been an actor. All right. We have a lot of chance. BGH8904. I haven't seen you here before. I can see invisible. All right. All right. All right. They tuck it in, says Miss BGH. Maybe. I don't see how it's comfortable. All right. Let's move on. What else? We got this for our final bit of our main. Now we're going to go with themes after this. Let's see the cringe that's being posted on conservative TikTok or Instagram.
Everyone's always asking me, like, what's your dream job? Churning butter for a man that doesn't support Israel. Yeah. Barefoot in the kitchen, birthing 10 babies for a man that is godly. Back the patriarchy and regressing society just a little bit. Making a sandwich for a man that doesn't support Israel. Everyone's always asking.
If you don't see this and immediately run away from it, and I know that the right wing has a bunch of simps, you would be better off with one of the girls interviewed on Fresh and Fit or the whatever podcast than this psycho. If this isn't ironic, I don't know if it's ironic or not. I have no idea. I have no idea. That's how bad it's got. Groiper says that's a liberal. I don't think I'm going to call you Grindhouse, sir, because I don't think I can say that word. I think I'll get banned. That's a liberal commercial conservatives are making fun of. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. However, as you see in the comments, there's a bunch of simps because conservatives are the biggest simps that there are. So while you may be right, Mr. Grindhouse, this is not, people are not taking it because we live in a post-ironic world, right? This is a postmodern world. This is a Baudelarian world. And people take this seriously. So what's that to say? Let's move on here. I gotta say, I'm very proud of Somalians. My producer, as I've said, is East African. He has Somalian roots. And he's also very surprised with his people and their embrace of the postmodern. Somalians are the new Mormons. These guys are Baudrillard in the flesh. Let's see what they're up to in their memery. It's the best memery I've seen in a long time for actually achieving power through irony.
But the name Minnesota actually stems from two Somali words. One being Minan, which comes from the southern dialect of Somalia, which means home. And the second is Sota, which is like, Sota, there she is. Home, there she is, Minnesota. So technically, we actually are the native, but the name Minnesota.
That's great, but let's see the other one. Let's see what else the Somalians are up to.
The state of Minnesota is the home of the Somali people, in which it fulfills its natural, cultural, religious, and historical right to self-determination. The state of Minnesota.
I mean, has anyone done this so well? These Somalians, I thought the Muslims were cooked. I really did think that Islam could not survive postmodernism. I did not think so. I thought that it was over, that they were going to fall apart. But it seems like, and my producer's just as impressed coming from a Muslim background. He's like, how did the Muslims, who are so literal, they are the return to the real. In previous times before Valentina Gomez, there was a lot of admiration in the West for Muhammad as a jurist because he brought things back to the real. Things became much more ethereal, much more in the air in the West. And he reasserted the rule of law in the Middle East. And now the Muslims are running with postmodernism to this degree. I'm impressed. I can't say I'm not impressed. Crazy. Good for them. Good for them. Crazy. Just because we're short on time, we'll catch up with chats after this. We got to get to ICE. Let's see what our Secretary of Homeland Security is doing here, Kristi Noem.
Look how Kristi Noem celebrated her birthday. Did they say Feliz Cumpleaños Panchita, or am I hearing things? But that right there is the United States Secretary of Homeland Security, and out of all the themes or places she could have celebrated her birthday, she went with that. And you know she has proven over the last couple months that she dislikes everything that has to do with that sombrero and the language they were singing happy birthday to. You know damn well she's trying to send a message. She is making fun of all the situation that's going on right now. Because come on, really? Having them sing happy birthday in Spanish was the icing to her cake. Sad times to be Hispanic, and it's crazy how they're getting away with everything they are doing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you in favor?
Obviously, it's a little sentimental, this TikToker here. But what is Kristi Noem doing? These are mixed signals here. She's wearing the sombrero. She's listening to a European language, Spanish, and not becoming enraged. What is she up to? What is the long con here? I will never fault someone for enjoying a delicious Mexican treat. There's no problem with that. How you doing? I hate everything. How you doing? Who else is here? Ephra, how you doing, Ephra? Enjoying a nice Mexican treat. I won't fault someone for that. I won't even say she's making fun. Everyone wants some Mexican food every once in a while. Let's move on. Let's see what else ICE is up to. ICE, who has broken every sense of intellectual property law. Let's see what they're up to now. As I always say, editing is perfect. Music choice. How do you get the rights to that? To Sweet Dreams? They don't. They just do it. But, dude, I know this cost $1 billion. I really think everyone who's doing this stuff, they're shooting in D-Log. Do you know how many gigabytes that is? They're telling a story They're using different shutter rates. I want to poach all of these guys and make them work in Hollywood by force. The content, you may find it objectionable, but dude, they're not even color grading it. This looks cool. It looks like Sicario. What else are they doing? Let's see what else they got.
Yo, you want to see
more non-IP? They don't give a shit about IP.
Yo, you want to see something cool? No. Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
No, nobody can do it like me. Zoop house plate with the kick cuisine. I was the black top king. 360s in my green machine. I was a kid and I was breaking down doors. Listening to Tribe, now we on a world tour. We gave them hell and now we gonna give them more. JVB, Mighty Morphin like Megazord.
Look at how smooth that was. Look at how smooth. A Tribe Called Quest, great. Look at that, dude. These are After Effects masters. How are they? I know it's because they have $1 billion. What else are they doing? What else are they editing? Well, this isn't an edit, but let's see here. We've talked a lot about these Venezuelan drug boats. Let's see what Kristi Noem has to say about this controversial tactic of extrajudicially drone striking people off the coast of Venezuela.
You've saved hundreds of millions of lives with the cocaine you've blown up in the Caribbean.
We really are in postmodern land with Kristi Noem. Hundreds of millions of lives by blowing up what, 10 boats? This fentanyl it must be the worst fentanyl ever. It must be the poison from Batman Begins. Hundreds of millions of lives? That implies at least 200 million. That's 2/3 of the United States. It's impossible. It's impossible to counter this stuff. What do you even say to that? What do you say to Kristi Noem saying hundreds of millions of lives were saved by spending all this money on these drone strikes and double taps? I surrender. This is great stuff. Let's catch up with the chat. And we're going to look at what I've Had It has to say about ICE, which I actually found a little disrespectful. Schofield says, Somalians, look at me. I am the Minnesota now. That's a good one. We have talks piracy. My producer knows the inside scoop on that piracy stuff that happened over there, man. It's not what you think it was. Ephra says, it's not about race or ethnicity. It's about defeating illiberalism and getting rid of ignorance. Human beings are generally the same. It's about incentives. That's not a bad perspective, Ephra. I'm not sure. You didn't say education, which I'm glad you didn't, because I don't think education is a solution. But getting rid of ignorance, that's definitely something. Because people are just ignorant. They're ignorant of the world they live in. And that's why we do the show. We try to point out that it's all plastic. It's all made up. And you can choose your own path. Mystery Lou says, Indians and Nigerians are known as scammers, yet they are the richest demographic in the U.S. Well, yeah, Indians I knew for sure. I didn't know that about Nigerians. But I saw that Concussion movie. That was a good movie. Good Nigerian doctors out there. And everything says, gotta respect the game. You gotta respect these ads. You gotta respect them. Full hat. Oh, you mean the Minnesotans? Yeah, the new Minnesotans. What are they gonna call it? The Minnesota Nakba. Full hat says, you say your producer, Leo, but you mean your Muslim handler. No, I don't mean my Muslim handler, Full hat. He was doing business in the Emirates. That does not imply that he's my Muslim handler. Mystery Lou says, King Leo's a reverse CIA. Well, I try to be. No psyops here. We're exposing the psyop. Mystery Lou says, America is the most diverse country in the world. Is that true? I feel like African countries might be more diverse, but that goes into tribal stuff. Apparently, they took Taylor Swift's song too. Yeah, and Taylor Swift wasn't able to respond quickly enough. Schofield says, our hard-earned tax dollars. Yeah, absolutely, being used to make ICE edits. Everything says ICE are actually a postmodernist. I guess they are, right? Because they're making good shit. It looks cool. Grindhouse says, that new Oshkosh is nice compared to the HMMB. Don't know what you mean. Robert says, do you think we should take in some Iranians? They are dehydrated over there, and Iran. I flew from California yesterday, and boy, are my arms tired. That's a good one, Robert. Mr. Elu says, America is now an economic zone. Do you think capitalists like Elon Musk give a fuck about this country? And that's a good perspective. I agree. Grindhouse says, I'm right wing as it can possibly. Thank you for not saying you're conservative, Grindhouse. I'm loving to everyone, but conservatives make me lose my mind. I don't mind a right wing or a conservative makes me lose my mind as it can possibly get, but I admit Kristi Noem is a bit of a camera whore. Absolutely she is. Absolutely she is. I had everything says Kristi Noem could have saved George Floyd by this line. Right. If we had only started drone striking these drug boats, we could have saved George Floyd. Ridiculous. Bohat says George Floyd couldn't save himself. Yeah, it's a tragic situation. All right. Let's see what I've had to say and Crystal Ball about ICE. I found this a little offensive. We did an episode a while back where we analyzed whether it's worth joining ICE. Let's see what they had to say.
Something else you said you'd had it with are minorities in ICE.
I mean, that connects to this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, not only do you have no moral compass, and how many times have you seen these guys? They've got their masks on, so you can't see their whole face. But what you can see, it's like a brown skin tone and a dude who looks like his last name is probably like Lopez or Hernandez or something. It's like, what is wrong with you? Not only do you not have morality, apparently you don't have self-preservation. I mean, these people hate you. They hate you. They hate your family. They hate your kids. They hate your future grandkids. They don't think you belong here. You're not a quote unquote heritage American. You're never going to belong. And you're the one implementing the violent force against your own community. I just can't wrap my head around that.
Something else you said you'd had.
I don't like criticizing people for their occupation. Crystal Ball has a very privileged life. A very privileged life. I am actually Hispanic, and I know Hispanics, and I know some Hispanics who applied to ICE. Did I give them any flack for that? Absolutely not, dude. Human beings respond to incentives. You know how hard it is to get a job these days? With a college degree, with a master's degree? And the government comes in and tells you, hey, we'll give you a gym, a car, gas. We'll give you life insurance, health insurance, eye insurance, optical, dental. Maybe it's the wrong thing. Maybe it's wrong. Okay, let's even assume that. Are you going to blame people for doing this? You can make the same argument about the military. I don't begrudge people for any of this shit, dude. People have to understand that people are just doing their jobs. Dude, and people are desperate out there for all. This is what I've never liked about the liberal left side, which is that this faux empathy. If you had real empathy, you would try to see what jobs they could get instead. And the options aren't there, man. They're not there. So I really don't like this kind of thing. I really find it distasteful. It's very distasteful to do this. If a Hispanic guy needs to join ICE because he has no money, I don't begrudge him. Even if he has money, maybe he's always wanted a law enforcement background, so become a consultant after that. Or maybe he's working at the police department and they're not giving him the raise he needs and he has a third kid on the way. Morality is for good economic times in terms of employment, dude. Like, what are we talking about here? I found that very distasteful. Let's catch up with the chats. That's the end of Schizo Watch for the night. Effer says, I don't mind right-wingers either. Some criticism about the left are legit, but also some criticism of the left towards the right is also correct. Absolutely. Bohat says, look up Isaac Cappy. Oh, Bohat knows. That's why we call it the president. I know about Isaac Cappy, sir. Ivan says, Crystal Ball has become the stereotypical wine mom. Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. You're going to begrudge people who fucking probably, you know, they're hiring people without high school educations. You know how hard it is for someone without a high school degree to get a job? Grindhouse says, oh, I'm sorry, I see that inter chat. Schofield said it's a new welfare class. Absolutely. And that's how you should treat it. And you don't treat them with hatred for someone who's on welfare. You go, hey, look, I understand this job is bad. Let's see what we can do as an alternative. But this lamenting and creating ethnic hatreds, intra-ethnic hatreds that she doesn't have to deal with. Crystal Ball is not Hispanic. She doesn't have to deal with that at the Saturday night working class multiracial family party. So who are you to tell them? Mr. Elu says she married an Indian hedge funder before Kyle Kalinske. Yeah, and she also got a bunch of money from it. And all right. Ifra says I'm not ideological. Ideology is the end of man. All right. I see a lot of talk about Candace Owens. Let's move on to our first story, which is short, which is Erika Kirk, who is evil. As I always say, let's play us out here. So first we have to start with the lovely Candace Owens. The lovely Candace Owens, who tweeted this. Candace, I feel for you, girl. I really do feel for you. I feel for you. I received information last night that put the final pieces together for me. I now can say with full confidence that I believe Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of TPUSA and some of the very people who eulogized him on stage. That's definitely true, that he was betrayed by those people, including his wife. I don't know about the assassination, but he was. Yes, I will be naming names and providing evidence for my claims. And I am making a personal plea to every well-meaning person who donated to the godforsaken organization to request a refund you were lied to and leadership knew. This, look, I don't know about the assassin. Thank you, Robert, for the super chat. I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you big time. I can't even like this one, Robert. It won't let me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. You keep the lights on around the show. Appreciate it, sir. That's why your name is in the Chiron. It's coming up next. So look, Candace. Thank you, Robert. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the super sticker. That's very cool. It's like a crocodile giving a thumbs up. That's nice. It looks like the stickers from the membership. Look, he was obviously betrayed. That's true. In death, which is actually worse than life, I think. And we saw here the very great liberal response, or I don't even know if it's liberals, man, but whoever this was my favorite of the Kirk memes.
First off, the watch. First off.
Gunnar Kirk, endless plays. And let's see what his wife is doing as she's being interviewed by Aaron Ross Sorkin. This woman, I called it from day one, and I will say it again. This woman is so evil. This is the lady your mama warned you about. This is that lady. Okay? How does the lyrics go for Ricky by Denzel Curry? My mama said, treat all men like your brother. And treat all women like your mother. I don't remember it off the top. I'm sorry, that's Bad Miami. I know I should know the Denzel Curry lyric. I'm sorry. Look at this evil witch bitch. Let's see what she's doing, getting interviewed here by these people.
Points. And so at the funeral, for me, you could go any direction.
Look at all the jewelry. Look at the extensions. Look at the caked up face. This isn't a woman suffering or a woman scorned at all. This is a woman having a great look at those nails. Oh, she spray tan, beautiful outfit. Not even 6 months, bro. Not even 6 months.
In that moment, I wasn't up there for anyone else but for the Lord and my husband. Those were the two people in my quote unquote audience.
Yeah, you were up there to grab JD Vance by the ass.
And yes, Charlie would have forgiven. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you think what the assassin did was correct. That's the exact opposite. It's forgiveness is, for those of you who have been wronged, you know what it feels like to forgive someone, and in a way where it frees you from a poison, and it frees you to be able to think clearly and have a moment where your heart is free and you're not bound to evil, and you're not thinking emotionally, you're thinking logically, because you're free. You're truly, truly free.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How did you get to that point?
That's the Lord. That's my faith.
So this is clearly, look, as a postmodern Catholic myself, this is true. There is a virtue in forgiveness. Forgiving liberates you. I've forgiven people. The last person I remember forgiving was an Algerian who robbed me of my lighter in the south of France. Probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not wronged often. And I forgave him pretty quickly. You know, I let him steal my lighter, you know. Maybe he needs it more than I do. I don't know. And I forgave him probably after an hour. I was like, you know what? I'm going to forget that. Let that go. I forgive him. He didn't shoot my wife. They tried to kill my wife. Denzel, great actor. A lot of great Denzels. They tried to kill my wife. Denzel.
It's 90% bullshit, but it's entertaining.
Okay, I forgave him after like an hour for stealing my lighter because I was wronged. Now, if they shot my wife in the neck and I watched her bleed out on camera in front of my children, I might have to wait a little bit before I forgive him. I might not be able to do the WWE event entrance and then forgive him on stage for a crowd of strangers and start getting handsy with President Trump and JD Vance. I don't know. I'm a Catholic. I'm a postmodern Catholic. Maybe I'm cruel. Maybe I'm not an evangelical like Erika Kirk. Maybe evangelicals are better at this whole forgiveness thing than us Catholics. But you know what? I think I'm right, objectively. And I don't use that word lightly because I'm a Baudrillardian, so objective doesn't matter. But this woman is so evil. She's so... I hate everything says you got to slide into Erika's DMs. Dude, if you slide into this woman's DMs, you know how they tell you when you're going down to Colombia? The men might know this. When you go down to Colombia, they always tell you, the Hispanic ladies, they'll tell you got to be careful down there. They have some drugs, some burundanga. They'll knock you out. They'll rob you blind. You got to be real careful if you're going to do anything risky down there. If you DM Erika Kirk, I'm pretty sure you'll wake up in the middle of the night and she'll be doing, you'll have a pentagram drawn on your chest, a candle lit, and she'll be there with the cast of Rosemary's Baby trying to get you pregnant with Satan's child. This woman is evil. What else has she been up to? Yeah. Let's see her here giving her opinions on Zoran Mamdani. Not even 6 months.
What do you make of Mamdani here in New York? And the reason I ask is he was somebody who really actually was able to persuade the younger voter. I mean, he really captured, but obviously on the complete opposite end, if you will, of where someone like Charlie would have been.
You know, it's so interesting because I lived in Manhattan for a while and I loved this city. I'm going to come at this from a female voter because a high percentage of his voters were female. I think there's a tendency, especially when you live in a city like Manhattan, where, again, you are so career-driven and you almost look to the government as...
She's telling other women they're career-driven? The greatest grifter of all time, who built a career on her husband bleeding out on camera? Okay.
A form of replacement for certain things, relationship-wise even. So
yeah, JD Vance is a replacement relationship-wise for you, you evil witch.
You see things a little bit differently. What I don't want to have happen is women, young women in the city, look to the government as a solution to put off having a family or a marriage because you're relying on the government to support you instead of being united with a husband where you can support yourself and your husband can support and you can guys all combine together. But I just find it so ironic and so interesting that a heavy percentage of the individuals that voted for him were female.
I find it ironic that you were asked to be interviewed about this. I find it ironic that you are not laughed out of town for being a clear grifter. And I called it from day one. Day one. Another 10 trillion to the Leo is always right jar. To the King Leo is always right jar. It's just not possible. Let's catch up with the chat before we move on to Milo and Fuentes. Well, we have to do a quick analysis, okay? Effer says, people say things but are not true. Well, at least not all the time. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am truly not ideological. I'm able to see the argument from both sides. That's the only way to win. I would go further and say there is not even both sides, Effer. Full Hat's asking where Arya is. I'm not sure, sir. She was here last week, though. And Mr. Elu says, Candace Owens is the only person who mourned Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens and me and my producer. I'll be honest with you, man. My producer, when he found out, he was, at first he was like, you know what? Charlie Kirk was an asshole. for doing all that debate stuff. We both hate debates. And when he saw what I saw, I gave him this call and I was like, dude, what they're doing to this man, it's not right. He was like, you know what? You're right, dude. It's not, they made his whole life a joke. They made it a sick joke. And I've been sad. Rest in peace, Charlie, for real. Grindhouse says, I have a very hard time believing the official narrative about the feds about Charlie Kirk's assassination. I do too, but I'm not going to make a lot of assumptions. I hate everything. Says, I can't goon. I can't goon is right. A lot of people can't. Miss Relu says, she's pregnant from JD Vance. Lots of people are saying, I'm hearing it from a lot of people. All right, debating Valentina. Get your minds out of the gutter, gentlemen. Robert says, Tammy Faye Baker. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. There is a 700 Club type of energy to this evangelical stuff that just, it doesn't sit right with me. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Just don't get it. I don't get it. Mr. Elu says he's a master debater and a cunning linguist. All right. All right. Fohat says, y'all didn't know that her insides are lizard. Her blood is blue. Well, I know it now. She's like Eileen Wuornos from Strange Darling. Strange Darling is a great movie. I'm glad you saw that, Mr. Elu. That was one of the best movies I've seen in the past couple of years. Giovanni Ribisi did the cinematography for that. I don't know if that's why you watched it. That's the only reason I went to watch it. I was like, Giovanni Ribisi, the actor Scientologist that I like? What? He's a cinematographer now? So pretty interesting. Grindhouse says, leftist women replace husbands with the state is what she's saying, and women do that. The left is women's ideology. Grindhouse, I would direct you to the video I put out this week, which is, I think it's titled Men Can't Compete Anymore. I don't really think it's exactly how you're saying, but I think you're on the right track, but I don't think, I put blame on women for this. All right. Let's move on. All right. Yeah, we got to move on. Now, all right, Woods in the chat. All right, let's go to Milo Yiannopoulos. But before that, we have to, let me get Notepad handy. My producer and I put this together, okay? So there's a couple theories that we have on why Nick Fuentes is being normalized, okay? I'm going to make this big so you can see, okay? And we're going by what's set, okay? So here you can see it real big. Let me close this so there's no distraction, okay? So theories for the normalization of Nick Fuentes. As you can see, number one is to co-opt him into the JD Vance coalition, which will be important in 2028. This is important because this was the suspicion a lot of people had, including Richard Spencer, when he did the Tucker Carlson interview. There was a suspicion that he was trying to be wooed for the other side of his side, the JD Vance side, to support him in 2028. They saw some value in his electoral politics and wanted to bring him in. However, given the events today, Nicholas J. Fuentes has fallen out with Tucker again, which is odd, but not unexpected, because Tucker immediately betrayed him by calling him a homosexual. Reason number two is we base this one on an interpretation of what Piers Morgan is doing, because he's going to interview him next week, which is to warn the elites of a rising anger amongst the plebeians, right? The normal people in society. A lot of the elites across the West, including England and the United States, they don't realize that people are genuinely angry and frustrated, whether they be on the right or the left. It was after the show that this occurred to us yesterday, to my producer and I, when we were thinking about why Piers would have Valentina Gomez on, because I'm a fan of Academic Agent on YouTube. I made a video directed at him yesterday. He believes that Piers platforms these people because Piers is secretly based, that Piers is trying to normalize these talking points. And I kind of agreed with that. But what I realized, and what my producer realized, is that no, what he's actually doing is he's platforming people like Nicholas Fuentes, like Valentina Gomez, in order to make aware his class of people, which include Donald Trump, Tony Blair, world leaders, that there is a genuine anger out there and it's manifesting in insanity. Now, there's a second Piers theory, which is that he's doing this because Nick Fuentes' ideas will win and succeed MAGA. Okay? Let me write Nick's so it's better. Nick's ideas will win and succeed MAGA. That was my initial theory, but I don't think that this is the case. I think that Fuentes has a long hill to climb for his ideas to be accepted into the electoral side of elections. That's another theory based around Piers, but it's possible. The fourth theory is that it's simply profitable, that there's good money in this. Is that why PBD started this whole generational run, as he's calling it? Is that why Cenk Uygur is trying to ally with Nick Fuentes now? Is it because it's profitable? Is it a profit motive? PBD makes me suspicious that, yes, he is a money man. He is a master debater, a master grifter. Or theory number 5, which is that Nick Fuentes has won everyone over in the marketplace of ideas. And I wrote LOL because I think that is a very difficult case to make. I don't think Nicholas J. Fuentes has won over a majority, a super majority, even less in the United States to his ideas. I think at most 10% of people, which is a big number, that would be 30 million people in this country, agree with his ideas on the chosen people, the ally over there. And I don't think this is accurate. So these are the reasons that I see are possible. You guys have any other theories? Let me know. We have to keep these in mind as we're trying to analyze what's actually happening with this guy. Okay. Well, Mr. Grindhouse here says, excuse me, theory number 6 is to form a third party, America First, in between Republican and Democrat and backed by the new AZAPAC PAC. I don't know what that PAC is. But that's possible, but that doesn't let you win. That just lets you grift. You're not going to win outside of the two parties, you know? I had everything goes with 4 or 5. You think that Nick has won people over to that level? I think he's winning with the next generation. That's possible. That's possible. That's possible. All right. Yeah, I don't see any other theories. All right. Good to know. I'm glad that we're starting off here. So let's start here. I want to show a snippet from this horrible person, Ezra Klein. I'm sure you're aware of who he is before we get to Milo, who actually, this was 2 weeks ago. He put out this clip from his stupid podcast. Let me make this big here. And it's kind of talking about this interview that Fuentes did with Carlson. It's a little dated at this point. Wow, in modern times, 2 weeks is dated. But it's an interesting perspective to see how the elite intellectual left liberal crowd, abundance mentality crowd, is dealing with this quote unquote generational run. Let's see what they had to say.
This interview between Fuentes and Carlson is this almost textbook.
And I absolutely agree with you. I would say, though, that the main challenge to that, a big challenge to that, is organized Jewry in America.
You have the anti-Semitism of the gutter, Fuentes, and you have the anti-Semitism of a declining aristocracy, right? So anti-Semitism always works to create a kind of coalition. There's a street gutter crackpot anti-Semitism. And then you have what you could call more respectable anti-Semites. Let's say Charles Lindbergh, right? A person who was highly respected, a respectable person, you know, a great hero to many Americans, but found had a racial view of the world and found anti-Semitic ideas persuasive.
Henry Ford.
So you had these respectable anti-Semites and crackpot anti-Semites, and they're coming together, I would say, is the creation of an actual anti-Semitic politics, right? Tucker comes from this preppy background. Father was an ambassador, stepmother's, Swanson, and, sees an America that's not the way he wants it to be, that's declining, that doesn't look the way he looks like, that has norms that he doesn't share.
And maybe I don't want to live in a country that looks nothing like the country I grew up in. Is that bigoted?
And you have Fuentes, who comes from, he didn't go to college, he dropped out of college, he comes from a modest background.
They don't care about the young white men at all. And they don't care about them because I'm one of them.
He is dripping with resentment to a world that he feels doesn't have a place for him.
A self-described proud incel.
Yeah.
I'm a real incel. And you want to know why? Because I live an incel life.
And also very interesting that he does not try to hide it or pretend that he is not, socially maladjusted in some way. And that lends him authenticity and makes people gravitate towards it.
Nick Fuentes, thank you for doing this.
This meeting between Tucker and Fuentes symbolizes the kind of recognition between these two groups.
Wanted to meet you. I've heard about you.
I've heard about you.
In that interview, in that moment, the most perfect encapsulation of anti-Semitic politics.
So liberals, as usual, are retarded.
Oh, I get it.
You're retarded.
This moron's analysis rests on the basis of saying that Nick Fuentes is gutter anti-Semitic and Tucker Carlson is elite anti-Semitic. The first issue I'd have with that is I'm not sure if Tucker Carlson is an anti... Dude, I can't say this fucking word. What is an alternative? They will take the stream down. It's happened before. I'm just going to say anti, okay? Tucker, I'm not sure if he's anti or not. I actually am not inclined to believe so. Maybe I'm taking him at his word. Maybe I don't believe that. I don't think that Tucker Carlson is Charles Lindbergh or Henry Ford. Okay, I don't think that. Secondly, and once again, you see liberals being retarded. Nick Fuentes is not representative of gutter anti-Semitism. I've actually seen gutter, not really anti-Semitism, but racism in my travels. And that's like, not to be crass, it's some bucktooth hillbilly who is a member of whatever's left of the Klan or Klan adjacent groups. It's crap. It's crap. It's not true. Okay? This is not the case. And I knew they were going to say this, dude. When a liberal says he didn't even go to college, it shows that these people have not moved on past the 1950s. They still use this as a status marker. I'm very familiar with this. I've talked about it repeatedly, dude. I have nothing against people that don't go to college. Venezuela had this same issue, man, where it became a class signifier and they're obsessed with college. College. Nick Fuentes didn't go to college. That doesn't make you of the gutter. I went to college. Does that make me an elite? According to the government, it just makes me another spick with a piece of paper, okay? That's not how that works. I think a lot of people are in that situation. People who either have a college degree or dropped out because they didn't see value in it. I don't know what Fuentes' motivations were for that. And this guy doesn't know either. So as we can see, a big part of this generational run that we've seen, in my opinion, is because liberals have no idea how to deal with this guy. Calling him gutter anti-Semitism, that shows that you grew up in New York, dude. You're showing your New York. Because you can find this in Florida, in central and northern Florida, even in southern Florida, dude. You can find this stuff if you really look. It still exists. It's gross. Dude, I remember one time I've told the story before, I went to eat out in Athens with a Korean buddy of mine. And the dirty looks we got from a biker gang and the slurs and our nice liberal college waiter telling us, hey guys, you should leave. It's not going to be good for you if you stay. That's gutter racism, gutter anti-Semitism. Pig-headed idiots who sit around drinking beer and just destroying people's minds. That's what it is. People who are willing to go to prison. People who are stupid. And just because you didn't go to college doesn't make you of the gutter, Ezra Klein. It doesn't make you of the gutter. I'm sorry you overpaid for your Harvard degree that your rich Brazilian daddy was able to get for you by buying a building. I'm not sure if that's true, but I assume it is. That's how all these people start. All these liberal NYT bullshitters start. So, this isn't the gutter anti-Semitism. I know what gutter racism is. I know what gutter anti is. Okay? It's not that. So, before we move on, let's see another liberal doing analysis here, which is Coleman Hughes. I'm not a fan of Coleman Hughes. I've never liked this guy. He made his name off of fighting against reparations against Ta-Nehisi Coates. Ta-Nehisi Coates, you may think whatever you want of him, is one of the most talented writers that I've read. You don't have to agree with what he says. As a writer, he is one of the best writers I've read that's alive right now. It's maybe Ta-Nehisi Coates and Bret Easton Ellis. Who else is a really good writer that's alive right now? Ta-Nehisi Coates is a great writer. So he went up against this guy who made his name on reparations are bad, blah, blah, blah. And let me pull up some of his music. Coleman Hughes, because he's just a rapper that fell into politics. Let's see the rap. Let's see what the rap is before we look at his he's aligned with the free press and that type of crap.
Mr. Coleman Hughes is a columnist for Quillette. He's had pieces published in the New York Times.
Again, Look at my attitude after they call me a Tom and Ray call me a coon. It's a 10, bitches a 10. Don't tell me who to offend. Losing a few of my friends. Yeah, I've been booted from public events. And it was all over something I said. Cause it was blasphemy. Never was lacking audacity. Point to a flaw in the fallacy. Read on a different mentality.
Why don't you give me a handgun and a bottle of scotch? Ugh. But he's an important voice, despite his rap music. No, this is not AI, Mr. Elu. This is real. He's very proud of this. In every rap, he says, yeah, no, he doesn't even talk like that. What am I doing? All of his rap is, yeah, they say I'm an Uncle Tom, but I'm not. I'm getting paid. It's like, all right, dude. Oh. We have Uncle Juans in the Hispanic community. You could be an Uncle Juan and get paid, so it's crap. But he's important because he's on the Free Press. Okay, he's a big buddies with Barry Weiss, which you could say is a sort of liberal coalition. And he released a whole video here called Nick Fuentes Knows Exactly What He's Doing. Let's see what he has to say.
Photographer for putting a picture of her cliffside mansion on an obscure website, arguing that it threatened her privacy. Her actions backfired spectacularly. Before the lawsuit, only 6 people had downloaded the photo, but after the lawsuit, hundreds of thousands of people had seen it. The Streisand effect has since become a generic term for when an attempt at censorship achieves the opposite of its goal. If I were writing a glossary entry on the Streisand effect, I wouldn't put a picture of her next to it. I would put a picture of Nick Fuentes. Fuentes launched his career as a college freshman in 2017 with a barely watched show called America First. In Fuentes' telling, he was a mainstream Republican in high school. Then Donald Trump's rise radicalized him against immigration, and the experience of being ostracized by fellow Republicans for questioning Israel radicalized him against Jews as a whole. Whatever the truth of this origin story, it didn't take much for Fuentes to transform himself from a mainstream conservative into a lover of dictators, including communist ones, an across-the-board bigot, and a textbook anti-Semite.
I remember because that's an important date to me. And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. Always an admirer.
As he became more extreme, Fuentes began to experience what would become one of the most complete cancellations ever consummated in American culture. In his freshman year, he got harassed for wearing a MAGA hat on campus. After participating in the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville.
Okay, we have to move on to Tucker, so I think you get the gist. This is the other liberal coalition that's of the right, if you want to call it that, the Barry Weiss coalition. And I think that their claim is that this is all attention whoring. This is an attempt to get attention. It's not real. And good luck with that strategy. Good luck with that strategy to shut someone down. This has not worked for the New York Times, which Barry Weiss was a part of. And it's not working for these types here. Robert says, I'm really confused. What's confusing, Robert? Let me know and I can clarify. Look, this is a 17-minute video that Coleman Hughes put out where essentially what he's saying is that Nick Fuentes is rising because he is an attention-seeking whore and that there is no depth to it, there is no real value to it, and it can just radicalize other people. And while there is some truth to that claim in the sense of everyone wants attention, sure, right? It's the online age. Coleman Hughes wants attention. Otherwise, why would he make this video? I think that this Fuentes coalition, man, like this is an important political faction that's growing in this country. As I said, I don't think it's even 10% of the country, but this is something that's important online. I hate everything pointed out that the youth is very involved with this kind of politics. And this was all in reaction to the Tucker platforming. It seems like that was the dam that broke everything. Because Tucker Carlson is still treated well in the conservative coalition and abroad. I mean, they call him all sorts of things, Carlson and all this. But Tucker Carlson is a respectable conservative. He has the pedigree. He's rich. His parents were rich. His dad worked for the CIA. He's a respectable guy. So when he interviews Fuentes, it's a big deal. Now, what's interesting today is that we had, and I saw Full Hat saying that this is a distraction. Full Hat, we're trying to understand the way that politics are going to move in the next 4 to 8 years in this country as the MAGA coalition dies, because it's not going to keep existing. he released an interview here with Steven Crowder. This was unexpected. This is a betrayal, in my mind, of Steven Crowder to Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire faction that he was previously aligned with. If you don't remember, Steven Crowder had issues with them because they wanted to sign him for a company and they wanted him to censor himself. And Ben Shapiro kind of moved past that scandal, but I found it to be pretty disgusting coming from Ben Shapiro. As you know on this channel, I do not like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is not a great guy. And the fact that Crowder would go this far as to platform Fuentes and have him on his show, I mean, Crowder is like a normie conservative, right? He's a Trump-supporting, normal guy. This, to me, is actually more significant than what happened with Tucker. So let's watch a little bit here, mostly the intro, of what he actually got out of Fuentes.
Mr. Fuentes, thank you for being here, sir. Can you hear me, see me okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I appreciate the Christmas decor. A lot of people don't do that. Let me get this just out of the way really quickly. Obviously on X, and that's a win. You're back, Nicholas J. Fuentes. It's America First on Rumble weeknights, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and then as I understand it, next week you are going to be on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yes, on Monday I'll be doing a show.
Say the N-word, go on.
Can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
Say the N-word, go on.
We're going to watch that whole thing.
I will warn you, Piers Morgan Uncensored is rather censored. I don't know if
In what way? How do you mean?
Well, he challenged me to use the N-word on the show, and I did it 3 times, stuck the landing in front of Mark Lamont Hill. They just skimmed past it and then edited it out afterwards.
So no N-word, huh? All right, I'll have to keep that in mind.
Right.
I'll try not to use it.
If he asks you, well, would you say it, or he challenges you, and you do, he pulls a magic trick where people don't hear it.
That even Steven acknowledges that Piers is the master magician. El Mago Piers.
I'll have to record it on my end. I'll just blast off. Maybe if I say it loud enough, they'll just play it anyway.
Well, I actually did that one time, so we can give you some tips. I had a buzzer every time someone would interrupt, and he edited out the buzzer. Not him, his producers. But Nick, I appreciate you being here, man. You know, right now it's a weird time where people are trying to tell folks they can't actually have conversations, no matter how much you agree, disagree. So if it's, I'd like to kind of set what my expectations are, because I did hear that you said you hope this would be friendly. That's my goal too. The first thing I will say, we got into it with Jillian Michaels. I should say, this week, where she was demanding people disavow, and I'll get to that. I hate, above all else, it's like I feel compelled to defend, no matter who it is, when jokes or statements are mischaracterized, taken out of context. I've had that happen to me. I think it's happened to you quite a bit. I don't want to do that, all right?
I'm glad to hear that Tucker is breaking with Jillian Michaels, man. Because as I said last week, Jillian Michaels has really no role to play in any part of American politics. Jillian Michaels, as I said repeatedly, and this is not a judgment, is a rich, famous person from Hollywood that is of a Jewish background, which is fine, who is a homosexual. She's a lesbian, happily married, love to her, and has adopted children. You know, she has adopted children that are black. Nothing wrong with any of those choices. I'm not judging them, but that is what percentage of the American population? Like less than 0.01%. Who else can relate to Jillian Michaels? She is completely unrelatable. Her vote really doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. At all. Her and her coalition. Who cares what Jillian Michaels has to think or who she's going to vote for? I'm not saying that from a judgmental perspective. I'm not judging her. I'm not saying that her lifestyle is wrong or anything. I'm just saying, why would any presidential candidate care about this? So, but what we see here is that Steven Crowder is signaling that he's breaking with her, and this is a normie conservative. So it's odd to see that he's now aligning himself, even if saying with disagreement, platforming Fuentes is something. Crowder was platforming Ben Shapiro 10 years ago, and now he has Fuentes on.
Hopefully, I think, neither one of us does that. And I also really hate seeing gang ups. And that's why I killed the mics. If anyone here, I really didn't like seeing what happened with Candace and Tucker, especially after you appeared with Tucker, and it seemed pretty cordial. And then he took pot shots once you were gone. I promise you, I'm not going to do that.
It's important to remember that because we're going to see the Milo Yiannopoulos interview that Tucker did in a few minutes.
That fair?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Okay. And what I really want to do is I want people to actually hear your views for what they actually are. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree. And some people, they'll be moved. They'll be convinced. And I want them to make up their own mind and be able to contrast it. So I ask that we're able to do that. I will also say, hey, look, I do want to thank you because, I've been subject to some concerted hit pieces myself. And you didn't join in on the dog pile. And I do appreciate that.
Yeah, got to stand up for a guy. It's bros before hoes.
Well,
so,
yes.
So I'm with you.
Now, I don't so much appreciate you implying that, I'm bringing talking points from BlackRock or the Israel lobby, considering I've been sued by BlackRock and even Rumble had to fight back. So I think let's just make sure we take each other's opinions at face value. I don't think that you're paid for it to say anything that you're saying, and I can tell you definitively that I've never taken a dime from.
This does not get worse in terms of the attitude Steven Crowder has. It's a very, very cordial interview. It's 2 hours. Yeah, it's 2 hours, dude, of them talking. Let's go a little deeper and see how it went. I'm telling you, it did not get any more heated, which is an implicit endorsement. And that's why it's an important interview. This, once again, goes to theory number one, that Nick Fuentes is trying to be pulled into the mainstream conservative coalition around J.D. Vance or whoever Steven Crowder would like. The MAGA coalition.
The altar of self. Are there people involved in the occult knowingly? Yeah, but there are far more people who succumb to temptation and evil and worship the devil without knowing it. And I think a lot of people kind of sound nuts and unreasonable because they don't understand theology sometimes.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. To me, it's completely irredeemable when you it's explicit. Because like you say, there are a lot of people that do it unknowingly, and maybe it's guided by the best intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. It might be out of empathy or, some kind of ideology. And I agree with you, but to me, it's like that explicit occult stuff. It's, that to me is irredeemable. I mean, it's obviously, whereas Christians, we don't believe it's actually irredeemable.
So here we have, we'll play it on mute, Nicholas Fuentes being embraced by Steven Crowder, whether he wants to say it or not. Because if you could be naive, and say, "Oh, they're just chopping it up. They want an exchange of ideas." To platform this guy to your 5 million, almost 6 million normie conservative subscribers, it speaks a lot. It actually does mean a lot. Okay, this is no joke. This is either you're trying to pull him into the coalition, or you're trying to radicalize your viewers to his views. In that case, is that to split MAGA or enforce MAGA? What we can say for sure, and the professional wrestling fans will appreciate this, is that quite frankly, what's happening is we have cemented a new wrestling character in American politics, okay? Nick Fuentes is officially in the running, okay? Vince McMahon has decided that Nick Fuentes is a legitimate character. He deserves to have time to speak. Let me make this chat correct here. He deserves to have time to speak. He's important enough to get booked on this type of show and to not be ostracized. And that means something. Okay, that's important. How do I lock this? There we go. Lock. So we officially have a new person in the ring. Someone who is now in the ring. And because of this person being in the ring, we have the face. Let's call Nick Fuentes the face. The good guy is what the face means in wrestling. Okay, this is the new face. Who is the heel? Who is the person who is Nick Fuentes' villain? The person that he does not like, that is not his friend, that has betrayed him on several occasions. Any old heads, any unk status people like myself will remember this. Even if you weren't following politics closely at the time, you remember Milo Yiannopoulos from 2016. He flamed out for, I'm not sure if he was defending pedophilia, but he was definitely, he was saying some odd stuff that was not taken well by a lot of people in the conservative movement. He was kind of flushed out. He was actually making the rounds here in Boca Raton. I saw him a few times when he was down here doing his moves, and he's been quiet. I mean, he's been around a little bit. He's been on Tim Pool and all this, But now, just a few weeks after having Nicholas Fuentes on, Tucker Carlson has Milo Yiannopoulos on his show, ostensibly to talk about homosexual conversion therapy. But like any true Baudrillardian will appreciate, this is not simply that. This is much more. This is the big intro for the heel. This is the intro for the person who is going to take down Nick Fuentes. Our new wrestling season is here. The new storyline is here. And we have our main character, our face, Nick Fuentes. And here we have our heel, our villain, Milo Yiannopoulos. Is Tucker doing this to help Fuentes and he's doing some sort of interesting kayfabe? I'm not sure. Let's watch the start of this. Then we'll go to Twitter for some highlights and come back. Because this monologue, Tucker Carlson is becoming an anthropologist purely for gay people. Like, he loves to study gay people, which is fine. You know, I'm much more interested in African American culture, in Hispanic culture in the U.S., and white cultures in the U.S., white ethnicities. I've watched Cruising. You know, homosexuals played a big role in the United States throughout history. You know, Stonewall and all that. It's not my forte. I'm not very good at homosexual history. I know a little bit of what happened in Florida, but that's about it. But Tucker Carlson decided to make a whole, how long is this? A 36-minute monologue on the nature of homosexuality. So let's watch what he had to say.
Of all the great memes and clips on the internet, Fat Kid Falls Off Bike being, of course, the top of the list, really in the last 13 years this week, almost nothing created on this planet has surpassed in popularity or sheer hilarity an interview that took place on Ugandan television in December of 2012 on a show called Morning Breeze, the morning show of Kampala, Uganda, in which a trans activist, a woman who now identifies as a man, came on and was asked a series of questions by the host. And if you don't know what we're talking about, here is a 2-second clip that reveals the essence of the conversation.
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay? Let's play that again.
Why are you gay?
It's still the funniest thing that's ever been on the internet. But why is it funny? And why does almost everyone find it funny? Left, right, straight, gay. Well, because it's kind of the key question. And it's kind of the question that no one in the United States is allowed to ask. Why are you gay? And of course, it's being asked by an East African with kind of a quaint semi-colonial accent. And, you know, conservatives can laugh at it. Liberals can laugh at it. Really, this is the kind of the only way a white liberal in the United States could ever laugh at a black person. If it's an
Tucker has spent 90 seconds laundering his interest in homosexual behavior with this meme from 10 years ago. We still use it on this channel, obviously. Look, man. All right. I wonder, obviously, you know, it's interesting. Why are people homosexual? I don't know. I don't know if it's nature or nurture, if it's genetics. But it's not on my mind all day. Do conservatives think about this a lot? Are they like, why are people gay? You know, I think about women. I think about women and politics and money and finance and business. But as conservatives like to wonder about why people are gay. I'm not that curious about that subject.
African expressing non-PC views on homosexuality. Why are you gay? And of course, people in the West laugh because the guy's an idiot. Why are you gay? We all know why you're gay. Why are you gay? Actually, we're laughing in part because we're not allowed to ask that question. It's settled, though no one's really explained what about it is settled. If you were to ask the average American, why are people gay? They would probably say, well, they're born that way. And then if you followed up with, well, how exactly does that work? They would have no idea and would tell you to shut up. Because again, like so many myths or things that we think we know, we don't really know. We can't really explain it. But we do know for dead certain we're not allowed to talk about it. So when some African morning show host in Uganda, wherever the hell that is, asks it out loud, we can't help but laugh nervously. Why are you gay? If you watch the whole interview, and actually it's worth watching because it's really revealing, both about Uganda and about the West. The first thing you notice is how polite everybody is.
This goes on for 20 minutes, pondering on the intricacies of homosexuality. Just fine, I guess. I guess. Before we get to Milo on the show, I think it's pertinent to show that he was recently on, you guys know I hate these guys, these fresh and fit idiots in Miami. And he tried to trash Nick Fuentes. And this was not entertained by the host. And once again, goes to my theory that this heel is being introduced to face off against the face, Nick Fuentes. Let's see what happened here.
He's gonna go good.
Bro, look at Tom Brady, bro. Nobody's safe.
Yeah,
nobody. I've been telling people that.
Real quick,
nobody's safe.
In the Bible, King Solomon, right, known as the wisest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he did? Everything under the sun, women, money, sex, everything. He gave wisdom after that. How can you teach others when you've never been through it like that? You can't. So to your point, is it possible to tell somebody what to do if you're not doing the shit?
Is that whole for Nick Fuentes? That whole for Nick Fuentes? Because he's telling a lot of men how to behave. That little faggot. He is flicking himself off in his jeans in cars. I spoke to his ex-boyfriend's ex-boyfriend 4 days ago.
Wait, what?
Nick Fuentes is gay?
Hold on. Guys,
please. I'm just saying, does that advice hold for him? Because he's telling a lot of men how to behave.
Look,
getting flipped off in the back.
Let's not mention Nick.
Nick Fuentes is gay?
Guys.
Oh, please.
Guys.
Let's not
talk about Nick.
I thought he was like a...
Come on, guys.
Out of respect for him, they're friends. Let's leave it.
He's my buddy.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. I understand that you guys have your issues.
He brought it up, so I...
Yeah, but let's,
Out of respect for you for the show,
please,
I'm sorry.
No, you didn't know. I don't know why Fresh asked that, but...
No, I know you're friends. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I like
you
Nick,
shouldn't
I
be
like
friends,
you.
but I know you are.
He believes in a nuclear family. Like, I'm like...
So these two clearly have a history. And Tucker platforming him today. Let's see one of the highlights here, one of the more humorous ones.
Comes to I've always wanted to say in a Ugandan accent, "Are you gay?
Why are you gay?"
So let me ask: Are you gay? Were you gay? Like, what is gay?
Nobody's gay. After that clip, which is the best thing on the internet, he changes the question, the interrogative to a declarative. He says, "Why are you gay?" And she starts, it starts talking. He says, "You are gay." It becomes a statement, and this is where he goes. This is where he loses me because nobody is gay. We've been encouraged to think of this. It's an icky subject. Like straight men don't want to.
So I'm not kidding when I tell you that this whole interview that Tucker did is platforming Milo Yiannopoulos on a different note. Okay, it's not about going explicitly into Nick Fuentes, but his reintroduction is important. It is important because we have here Tucker Carlson playing the role of Vince McMahon, introducing a villain, someone that Nick Fuentes is finally going to have to deal with in this season's WWE brawl. Okay, this is going to be a big brawl because Milo Yiannopoulos, if you don't remember, dude, this guy was a big deal, and then he petered out. He really did peter out. And having him reintroduced on a high-profile show like Tucker Carlson, it matters. It really does matter. So let's see, as I'm not kidding you, man, I can literally, look, it's 10 minutes of why are you gay? Then does conversion therapy work? Let's go to Tucker's favorite subject, demons, who attack Tucker Carlson in his sleep, apparently.
I think that was not quite right.
Have you ever been addicted to anything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
So, there's that moment when your mind is flooded. And it's all you can think about.
Yes.
And it's all that you can, you got to get it out, because if you don't do a line or have a smoke or do something, if you don't get it out, it's just going to be all that you can think about for the rest of the day. It's just driving
And
you crazy.
look at what he wore. Look at what he wore. This is great wrestling costume, man. Gold chain. You got to have that bling. Freshly dyed hair. And a shirt with his own face on it under a suit. If you don't think that Tucker and Milo know what they're doing in introducing a very good season of wrestling, then I'm sorry. You may not be a Baudrillardian.
Crazy, because it floods your mind.
Yeah.
I've been addicted to one or two little things. And I realized my sex worked the same way.
Yeah, I believe that.
I realized that when I was on a plane, I'm sitting down, hey, team 1A, I'm sitting on the plane. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a gin and tonic, girl. And then, like a basketball player, well, not a basketball player, they're all gay nerds, but like a football player would sit next to me. Like it would take hold of me. There were times I had to like go to the bathroom and like,
Yeah.
because I had to get rid of it because it was taking hold of my mind.
It sounds like a demon.
Yeah, because it's what it is. I joke, I say Gorgoroth, the semen demon. He comes out the way. He doesn't visit me very often anymore. But
It's
like,
totally real. I mean, that stuff is all real.
On a who can watch this? Like, who can watch? I watched part of this. I watched the monologue and parts of it. I'm not this interested in homosexuality. How Tucker is laundering the weirdest stuff to his 5 million viewers, dude. What is he doing? If you're gonna have, I'm not gonna shit on him because he's Vince McMahon. He's introducing a new villain and everything. But could it have been something else besides homosexual behavior? I'm not that interested in it. How can you listen to 2 hours of this? Conservatives love to be straight, I guess. But they can listen to 2 hours about why gay people are actually gay or not gay. Let's get to the interesting parts here where he's picking on other enemies he's going to take on in this season.
I don't know if it says anything about Republicans versus Democrats, but you have like Dave Rubin, for whom buying a child is not good enough, it must be his own. Like the conceit of that. So on the right, you've got this sort of techno conceit, Frankenbaby, and on the left, they adopt blacks. You've got these two wispy, wiry faggots who adopted 2 black babies. I mean, isn't Buttigieg just the most interesting character of our age? Like, I mean, he doesn't look like he looks like an intensely boring homosexual, like it's everything gay people shouldn't be. But it's so interesting the fact that, I mean, clearly he wasn't gay, like at the beginning.
Well, he had girlfriends.
Right. So he wasn't gay, but he made himself gay.
I made that point because actually I had gay men who worked for me who were more in tune with this than me.
So Milo is going to reveal to us the intricacies of the homosexual life of Dave Rubin. I mean, I'm all for Dave Rubin being shunned out of public life. Dave Rubin is a terrible, terrible piece of media. If you watch Dave Rubin, man, you will lose brain cells. And they're going to get to the bottom of they're going to get to the bottom of Pete Buttigieg's gayness. So are we opening multiple fronts here? Is it going to be Nick Fuentes, which is implicitly being opened here? It's going to be Dave Rubin to destroy the normie right, the Middle East loving, Kyle loving, as I hate everything says, right. And Pete Buttigieg, which represents the establishment, Kyle loving left. Is this just an attack on, ironically, the pro-Middle Eastern country people on the left and right, as well as Nick Fuentes? Because why else would Tucker platform such a known enemy of Fuentes, not even a month after his interview, and have him make attacks, other people catching strays in this whole... Dude, I swear, I'm trying to find something that's less gross. It's all about gay stuff.
Me, I'm not in tune at all. I thought Peter Buttigieg was a joke, but they said, well, he's not really gay. And I was like,
no.
But what does that mean?
Well, his sexuality, like all homosexuality, is a function, a product, a symptom. What is his homosexuality a symptom of? It's of his vaulting ambition. Buttigieg timed it perfectly so that post-Obama, the gay guy with the black kids, perfect presidential candidate.
So I think to the heterosexual...
I hate everything. So is Tucker going to call Milo the F word?
Say the M word. Go on.
Go on, Tucker. Say it. Say it. I don't... Tucker is a confusing fellow. I'm sure at some point in your life you've been with your boys or something. And you've been like, dude, can you imagine being gay? Like, that's crazy. What do you even do? And it's like 30 seconds at most. You know, you're not really pondering on a night out or even on your couch. You're like, dude, let's really get to the bottom of this, bro. Like, why are these gay people gay? To have the tolerance to talk about, I guess Tucker is a really tolerant guy.
Actual brain, it's like, are you really saying a guy would switch his quote sexuality in order to get a better job?
Yeah. Women do it all the time. Lesbianism has got nothing to do with male homosexuality.
Oh, perfect.
Just look, everybody knows they got a college girlfriend who was they got a girlfriend who was a lesbian in college.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like,
perfect. Now we're talking about lesbians. This goes on. Let's watch a little more of this. This is a little bit the conversion therapy. Let's talk about conversion therapy. He's trying to open a conversion therapy camp. It's going to be partnered with Alp nicotine pouches.
Involved in it.
One of the least attractive things about you.
Yeah, I agree. But my brain started to change a little bit when they were like, we're going to ban gay conversion therapy. And I was like, I thought the whole point was you can be whatever you want to be, which I was kind of for. But now you're gay. You must stay that way.
It's respectable for you to be pro-gay if the basis of your pro-gayness is that they're trying to force people to stay gay.
Well, that's when I started to change. I was like, what are we talking about here? You're not allowed.
So you're going the wrong way. Yeah, no, you're just off on this.
That just blew my mind when they tried to ban that. I was like, this is not what they told me it was.
They're trying to force people to stay gay against their will.
Yes.
I mean, it's bizarre. There's a Supreme Court case right now. The ruling will come next year about whether.
Okay, I think that I may be. I want to make sure that we're okay after this. Everyone in chat. I'm not trying to make anyone's life.
The Lord. Do you believe that the Lord tonight has set you free?
Yes, sir.
Turn around and tell those people.
Tell them. I'm not gay no more. I am delivered.
I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women.
Okay. All right. If anyone was becoming gay because of Tucker Carlson, I hope that saved you. If you want to watch this on your own,
it was a choice that was.
There's not much more alpha to get out of it, except for saying that we have the introduction of a great villain for season, 250 of American Politics. We have the ex-homosexual heel, Milo Yiannopoulos, fighting off with the accused homosexual face, Nick Fuentes, as well as actual homosexual Pete Buttigieg and actual homosexual Dave Rubin, in a battle of the wits hosted by Tucker Carlson himself. So, I think there's going to be more to this long term. I think that Tucker Carlson is going to platform more Nick Fuentes enemies, more Nick Fuentes haters like Milo Yiannopoulos. And we're going to see, it's going to be an epic battle of the wits, a mano a mano, man to man. These sounds to me like Tucker likes some hard men.
I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men.
Seems like Tucker needs some hard men to defeat Nick Fuentes, who he kind of built up, which it makes me curious as to Tucker's motivations. We might have to make a Tucker chart too. Is Tucker a guy who is just in it for the grift? Like, he's just a guy who's Vince McMahon. He's hosting a great wrestling tournament. He's doing a great circus for us. Not as good as Piers Morgan.
Say the M word. Go on.
But it's pretty good. Or is he actually trying to do something politically? And that's a question for you, man. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't know what the answer is. I don't know. This was so confusing. We had a whole other show planned, and then Tucker released this. And I was like, dude, this is fucking weird. Like, why is he platforming this guy right now of all times? And with the Fuentes release today, I was like, all right. You tell me. I think we're gearing up for another exciting season of WWE America. It's going to be great. I'm sorry, guys, we didn't get to the chats. Just want to make sure we ended on time, which we actually did. We have 5 minutes. Perfect. Let's see what we can. I see Street Cat Munchies. How you doing? Thanks for jumping in here. Ephra says hard men. Absolutely. Mystery Lou says David Goggins is also good. I don't know that for sure. I had the opportunity to see him, but I didn't go, unfortunately. I had everything says a boys' discussion isn't something that should go online. That's why it's always private. Right, dude, because everyone's had the conversation with their boys. It's like, dude, would you be gay for a day for $10 million? You know, it's with the boys, and you're not serious too. You know, I don't know if I'm just possessed by the spirit of Pete Hegseth and the super straight army that we have, the super straight great army blowing up drug boats, spending our tax dollars on that I have no time for being a homosexual. I cannot do it. I can't do it. Hat says everything is fake and gay. Yeah, possible. Effort says you can only transverse with light. Truth against ignorance. Ego destroys everything around itself. I saw you commenting about ego, sir, and you gave a very interesting description of a mountain. In hypnosis, the way ego is described, or the unconscious, which is kind of ego in some ways, or the id, is they describe it as a lake with fog above it, and below the lake is the unconscious. The lake itself is the conscious, and that fog on top is what we see. So yeah, you might benefit from some hypnosis classes, my friend. You're primed for it. Grindhouse says Milo's eyes go in two different directions. Yeah, I don't want to accuse anyone of being on anything, but it seems a little weird, you know. All right, everybody. For anyone new here, like, comment, and subscribe, please. The channel is growing, and we try to do real political analysis here because I don't have all the answers. I would never make that claim. But I think that what we do have on this show is we're asking all the right questions. So it's interesting. Just wondering as I do said, I'd also enjoy interviewing you on my channel. Well, that would be cool, sir. You can send me an email. Let me give you my email here. It's in my YouTube bio, but I'll put it here too, just in case. And it's and then Gmail. I can't write the whole thing. I'll delete that afterwards for the replay. But if you want to email me, sir, I'd love to do an interview. It'd be great. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Let me do the plugs. If you're new here, guys, you can join the Discord where we crowdsource information. Aria's in there. It's growing. I'll admit I'm not a great Discorder. I'm not sure how it works. The What Would Piers Morgan Do bracelet is here, so you can always know when to say the N-word.
Say the N-word. Go on.
You have it here. It's not affiliated or endorsed by him, and it's only $10. It's only $10. And you also have the Patreon, which has 3 members. I saw Schofield joined as a free member. I really appreciate that, sir. I don't care if you're free or paid, guys. I'm going to start putting up, I think I'm going to call it King Leo's Movie Corner. And we're going to do movie analysis there. And Mr. Elu saying the Jaws. You got me on Jaws, dude. I might do the rewatch and do Jaws as the first one about my theory about how Jaws is about white anxiety of black movement into the Northeast. So that might be the first fun one we could do. Not short for Leopold. Leopold. Yeah, did a lot of things in Africa. I went to. Yeah, we're done here. I can talk to you, Mr. Elu. I went to Amsterdam and The Hague a few years ago, and I wanted to go to Belgium to go to the Africa Museum. I think they've since redone it, which sucks, man, because I know how people feel about, you know, stolen artifacts and all that, but I really, when they give them back, I'm always like, dude, they were all in one place, you know? And they have an Africa museum that King Leopold set up, and I was going to go. So I go to the train station in Amsterdam, right? And I'm like, hey guys, can I have a ticket to Belgium? And they go, well, where's your passport? And I go, isn't this Europe? What do you mean passport? I thought it was free movement. The guy was like, why would you not? Very Dutch, obviously. Why would you think to travel you do not need passport, sir? It makes no sense. And I was like, I can't argue with that. So I missed out on that, dude. I really want to go to the Africa Museum in Belgium. I hope they haven't like redone it too much because I really want to see it in its state. So join the Patreon. The first scene of Black Panther. I didn't watch the movie, but I know what scene you're talking about. The one where he's like, where's this artifact from? You know, Killmonger. That's an interesting thing. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Just wondering as I do, Mr. Elu Ephra, one of our members. That's why you're in the Chiron, my friend. Robert for the super chat. Robert's outdone himself this week. Robert, let's get some air horns for Robert. Again. One of the great supporters of the channel. Appreciate you, Robert. Mr. Grindhouse, who's new here, subscribe, Mr. Grindhouse. I think you'll have a good time here. We have people of all political stripes here, even if you are I can't say that word, man. But we appreciate everyone here. Full Hat, as always. Street Cat Munchies. Did we have anyone else here? I don't think we did. Oh, Schofield, of course. Schofield, one of our great people. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'll be back streaming tomorrow. I might release a video tomorrow. I've been catching up with, dude, with this new computer I have of Photoshop 2025 now, and it is the best Photoshop that's ever been done. That's why the thumbnails look a little bit different, because background removal is automatic now. It's very, very cool. But I appreciate you guys tuning into the King Leo Show. I was your host, King Leo, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
A taxi driver.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. Change the world.